Crypto prices are starting the week in the green. As of noon Eastern, Bitcoin traded above $27,000, Ether traded above $1,800, and Solana traded right around 21 bucks.
So why Bitcoin?
Also the cryptocurrency that has the least amount of regulatory scrutiny. The US government, for instance, has pretty clearly recognized it as a commodity.
There's a lot of uncertainty still around what the macro picture.
Have you ever wondered what makes Bitcoin so special? How does it defy the norms and turn the financial landscape upside down? Is Bitcoin a safe haven in the financial crisis? In today's video, Lyn Alden has shared her viewpoint on Bitcoin and the financial markets. To know more details, stay tuned until the end of the video. And if you want to stay up to date with the latest crypto insights, markets, and the economy, be sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell icon. So grab your favorite beverage and let's get into it.
Over the past several decades, there's been a lot of fintech activity, obviously, a lot of companies spinning up around fintech, and mostly what they do is they provide overlays on top of the existing financial system. So they're not really changing things from the root layer, but they're making the way that we interface with the financial system a little bit more convenient, faster, making use of software, making use of new technology. And I think what the importance of Bitcoin is basically a computer science breakthrough that changes how we interact with money at the root layer. Basically, it's open source money, it's global money, it's decentralized money in basically a cloud. You can access it around the world, you can send it around the world, and that's a very powerful concept that is very different than decades of basically fintech innovations. And if we back up further, the way I would put it is that for centuries, most of banking has had two major functions. One is the provision of credit, and the other one is basically about making money faster. Right, so for a long time you had gold as kind of the base money, and then for centuries you had various kind of proto-banking technologies to make the movement of that value separate from having to actually move and verify gold every time. And so what they shared in common was that it always relied on trust. There was, the Hawala system was active for 1,000 years or so. There's bills of exchange that are written on papyrus. There's bills of exchange written on paper across the Silk Road. Islamic merchants are thought to have brought banking to Europe eventually, to Venice and places throughout Italy. And so you had the proliferation of more complex banking services there. And it's really about allowing the ownership of gold and ownership of underlying money to move faster than gold itself can move. But really, it was the second half of the 1800s that really opened up the speed of transactions, because you had the invention of telecommunication systems and you had the laying of the undersea cables across the continents. And so from that point, the separation of transaction speed, which was now the speed of light, was completely removed from the speed of physical money, physical settlement. And so for about a century and a half, we've been in this environment where transactions move at the speed of light. It's very simple to do a transaction. It could be done as simple as Morse code. Now we do it differently, whereas actual underlying settlement, got basically dropped away. And what Bitcoin, I think, represents is kind of the ability to do settlement, final settlement, at that same speed of telecommunications, which prior to 2008, 2009, wasn't really possible. And even the underlying technologies that made that happen didn't come into fruition until the years leading up to that. And so I'll stop there, but essentially Bitcoin is just kind of this revolutionary new way to think of money, to send money, to operate with money from the root layer rather than just like an overlay.
You see, over the past few decades, we've witnessed a whirlwind of fintech activity. But Bitcoin isn't just another fintech innovation. It's a computer science breakthrough that flips the script on how we interact with money. It's like open source magic, global money that lives in the cloud, accessible and transferable anywhere on the planet. Talk about power in your pocket. Now, for centuries, traditional banking has been all about getting credit and making transactions happen faster. But with trust in the traditional system dwindling, people are looking for something new. I mean, just take a look at the recent failures of some big-name US banks like Silicon Valley Bank, Silvergate, First Republic, not to mention countless regional banks teetering on the edge. The unfolding of the banking crisis has exposed the weakness of the global financial sector, and Bitcoin is answering that call, providing a decentralized, trustless, and limited digital asset. And Bitcoin isn't just another pretty face in the fintech crowd, it's a whole new way of thinking about money. It's like the rock star of finance, operating from the root layer and challenging the status quo.
So I think it's been challenging in the sense that, for a long time it wasn't even big enough really to be investable by at a Wall Street scale. So almost by necessity, you're kind of late compared to how long the asset's been around, which is inevitable. And then I think another challenge is that because it sits at that blend of computer science and finance. It's a multi-disciplined field, and so it's actually pretty challenging to wrap your head around the first time. You usually have to run into it several times to really start understanding the industry and the technology here. And so, technology people might not understand the finance implications fully, and finance people might not understand the technical differences fully and how to separate the different asset classes. So it's just by extension a more challenging problem than I think that compared to other assets. And so for a while, there was that sense where, the phrase was like blockchain, not Bitcoin, where, if you ask someone, what do you think of this technology? They say, I don't know about Bitcoin, but I think blockchain technology is going to be very useful for a lot of industries. And the funny thing is, fast forward, outside of finance, you don't really see a lot of it. And I think it's becoming more apparent over time that decentralization is actually pretty expensive. There's a number of trade-offs you have to make in order to actually be decentralized. And so what we see generally is that there's been these waves of hype, but so far kind of the key application of this technology is money. So Bitcoin and stablecoins are kind of serving most of the utilitarian use cases so far. And other things are basically changing how trading works, liquidity works, things like that. But a lot of it is really focused within that financial realm.
Lyn mentions Bitcoin, in its early days, wasn't even considered Wall Street investable because it just wasn't large enough. Can you believe that? Talk about starting from the bottom, right? But hey, Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither was Bitcoin's reputation in the financial world. But this delay in adoption was inevitable. Bitcoin provides financial autonomy, especially in the times of economic uncertainty. You see, Bitcoin isn't your ordinary investment. Oh no, it's a unique blend of computer science and finance. Lyn highlighted that, back in the day, people were all about the blockchain, not so much about Bitcoin itself. But as time passed, it became clear that decentralization comes at a cost. And you see, outside the financial realm, blockchain applications haven't made as big of a splash. It's like they're the cool kids at the financial party, leaving other industries wondering where the blockchain hype went. And that's where Bitcoin and stablecoins come in handy. Now, when it comes to practical use cases, Bitcoins and stablecoins have found their sweet spot in the realm of money.
I think the importance of Bitcoin that separates it from the others is a couple main things. One is that it doesn't pass the Howey test. It's not a security. There may be others that it's unclear if they're a security or not, but Bitcoin is the most clear at not being a security. So it's got a different regulatory framework, basically any way you look at it. And then number two, in part because it's, part of what makes it not a security is that it's so decentralized. The way it was launched, the way it's designed, the limitations that it chose to have. Basically, it chose to be slower, it chose to have certain limitations in order to maximize decentralization. And so it's more of like a protocol, whereas when you look at other assets, there's kind of a spectrum. Some are more centralized than others. Some of them look almost like a company in a sense. Some of them are a little bit in the gray zone, whereas Bitcoin's more firmly in that protocol layer. So it's kind of like building on the internet. It's building on this somewhat more open system.
What sets Bitcoin apart from the rest? Lyn Alden believes that Bitcoin isn't just any other asset. It's different, and it's unique. Lyn points out that Bitcoin's regulatory framework sets it apart from other assets. Unlike some other assets, whose security status may be uncertain, Bitcoin confidently stands apart from the crowd, not falling into the security category. But wait, there's more. Its launch, design, and deliberate choice to impose certain limitations were all intended to maximize decentralization. It's as if Bitcoin said, no more relying on central authority, we're taking control. As a result, Bitcoin operates more like a protocol, leveraging the power of the internet's infrastructure. So what do you guys think? With Bitcoin's unique characteristics, are we witnessing a paradigm shift in the way we think about money? Is Bitcoin a safe haven in the financial crisis? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more updates and insights on the economy, crypto, and the market. Also, be sure to hit that bell icon to never miss any video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Adios.